everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to have a special new topic dedicated to Chanel, and we have a question from um, Jam Human. Dacob, as you are a longtime buyer of Chanel, what were the old Chanel boutiques like, for example, in the past decade? Now, let's get to this. This is very, very interesting because I have researched Chanel boutiques through books, magazines, reportages, and interviews, documentaries, but also since I was a kid, I've been to Chanel boutiques. I've seen them change, evolve, addresses change, boutiques close, new boutiques open. Something fundamental has changed within Chanel boutique aesthetic, and not for the better, I have to say. Although, and let me explain. Let me get to the point. This is very interesting. Somewhere around the year 2000, when a couple of years, 1998 was the year where Carl released the Millennium bag, which had that like kind of bum shape. It's like a pillow. I have one in my collection. It's amazing. But it's a weird twist. And he started using this mattified silver, and then these carbon fibers came into play, like these ultralight carbon fibers that are plastified in silver and gray. So you get that kind of like tweedish texture. Around the year then 2000, boutiques started taking out, because prior to that time, Chanel boutiques were all about, just like the packaging, just like you see this, for example, this little powder, compact powder, or this lipstick with the gold lacquer, black lacquer, like stuff like this was the interior of the boutique. So the boutique would have a lot of lacquered black surfaces, lacquered black walls, tables, and then they would have gold, just like, their perfumes. Now, of course, here, well, this is another example. The POUR MONSIEUR, for example, in this case, we have gray and silver, but you could usually, Chanel No. 5 used to have black and gold. So the whole boutique would be kind of almost like an interior, like the inside of a perfume bottle, or the inside of a gift box of Chanel. So you would have these black lacquered surfaces with gold, metallic gold or lacquered gold surfaces, kind of like ribbons surrounding the black surfaces. And then you would have glass surfaces, and everything would be illuminated with yellow lights. Lighting would be quite yellow, golden lighting. So you enter this decadence, you enter these boutiques, and then of course back then the costume jewelry and everything was also in this really chunky yellow gold, which we have again now. Here I'm wearing the Métier d'Art Chanel Goussan collaboration scarabs, and you have the brooch as well. Like it's been decades that Chanel didn't do this heavy, chunky, beautiful yellow gold, and they brought it back for the Métier d'Art Paris, Egypt, or Paris, New York collection. Super rare. They do it very rarely. But we're talking 80s and 90s. When Carl took over, he transformed that into that opulence, that decadence of the black lacquer and the gold. And those were quite dark environments. You entered a Chanel boutique, and of course, a lot of them referenced COCO's staircase at Rue Cambon 31 with the mirrors all over the place. So you would have these mirrors, black lacquered surfaces, gold surfaces, and glass, and yellow lighting. So you enter this relatively, almost, I don't want to say goth, but a dark environment, almost like a vampire environment. Gorgeous, very decadent, opulent, with not so much light. And then you find in these niches, these little alcoves, all of these costume jewelry, and then the clothes hanging and everything. It was just opulent and decadent. It was beautiful. But around the year 2000, all that changed and went into that carbon fibery material, coated to look like tweed, but everything was silver, gray. The lights from warm light turned to cold light. So what I referenced prior, the yellow light being warm light, turned into these colder white lights. Hyper illuminated everywhere. No more black surfaces. Nothing. Everything turned to these lighter grays or darker grays. The furniture that was brought into the boutiques were usually gray tweeds with silver streaks in them, sometimes with gold, a little bit warmth through the gold, but mostly the grays and the silvers. and a lot of light. And the carpets were light. They weren't black carpet. They were light gray carpets, fluffy, fuzzy carpet. Everything was light and elevated and just made it, I guess, more commercial. You know, everything became more commercial. And then from the 2000s, that kind of train of thought and that architecture kept developing. And what we see today within Chanel boutiques is the same approach. A lot of mirrors, a lot of these silver gray light surfaces. Um, Everything is illuminated, and what they've added is something that I personally do not like, but I understand why they did it because it matches that tweed aesthetic of Chanel. So what they do is, if you notice in a lot of Chanel boutiques, behind the sales associate, so usually in front of the sales associate, you have the, you know, the table or the thing with glass with the costume jewelry inside or watches or whatever they have, and that's like kind of at like hip level. And then you have the sales associate, and then behind the sales associate, you have the shelves, the shelving with the bags and the stuff. And usually you can notice in a lot of the boutiques, those shelves, the floors of the shelves are glass or a resin or a glass, but it's a, within the glass, within the texture of the glass, they have these kind of tweed strains, or they could be metallic fibers or actual tweed. I do not know, but anyway, there's a texture in the glass, like as if the glass had encapsulated within it a net or a web. And so when you look from the top, bottom, you see kind of a tweed pattern. It's an aesthetic. I find it a bit tacky, but that's something that's very much present in the boutiques now. And of course, the media, as it evolves, so does the interior design and decoration of the boutique evolve. What does this mean? This means that now on every counter within a Chanel boutique, you find an iPad that's encapsulated in a thick, gorgeous black leather Chanel case that they do not sell. They're only made for their own internal iPads. And then you have every room or every other room, huge flat screen TVs or monitors. They're becoming, I mean, they're evolving with time. I think in a couple of years, they're not even going to be screens anymore. They're just going to be probably these just like flat, you know, these kind of holographic projecting images. But for now, most of them have these like really big flat screen TVs that are positioned not horizontally, but vertically. And then you have the catwalk always running and walking. So all of that adds even more light because these monitors are usually kind of almost at human level, as if they were mirrors. So like you stand in front of it and you watch the models walking towards you. So that adds more light because they emanate light. And then you have all the spots throughout the whole boutique. And the dressing rooms are huge, but they are very light. The walls are white or gray. The carpets are a light gray. Everything is white and light. And I mean, honestly, that's not the Chanel I know. Because if we go back to Coco's time, her boutiques were dark. they were mysteries. They were mysteries. They were puzzles. They were hypnotic places where you can lose yourself. A little bit like what happens in Las Vegas. Like if you're in Vegas and you enter a casino, like the idea, those are the only places on planet Earth that have no watches, no clocks, no nothing, because they want you to lose track of time. There's no windows, there's no sunlight filtering through from the outside. The light never changes in the boutiques, in the casinos. It's always the same light. There's no clocks, no watches, and there's no windows. So you lose track of time. So you spend even more time in there and you lose yourself. That's how Chanel boutique used to be. All the old archive photos that we have of Chanel boutiques when Coco was alive, before the Second World War, but also in the 50s when she came back from 54 onwards, in the 60s. These are dark spaces, gorgeously mysterious, secretive places where you almost had to have a special relationship to the sales associate to get everything shown to you. Now, mind you, back then, there was not such a huge run after all the Chanel products like there is today, or like there was when Carl was alive. You didn't have that feeling of being in a supermarket back then while entering a Chanel boutique. Today, 31 Rue Cambon, before the lockdown. Last time I was there was in 2019 in Rocambon 31, and it's a supermarket. You wait your turn, and somebody comes to help you out, and everything is electronic, and it's that was a lovely experience because I had a wonderful sales associate that worked with me. But other than that, it's like a train station over there, supermarket train station. It wasn't like that, of course, in the 50s and 60s, and so there's a different relationship. And don't forget, back then you were also allowed to smoke everywhere. So of course you could also smoke in the boutiques. Yes, you could. Yes, you could. And it was also kind of a relationship. You would sit down and talk to the sales associate, and like deeper conversations, not just what do you want, what size, like it wasn't so shallow. There was more of a human interaction with between you and the person who was helping you dress up and choose the pieces for you that would also suit your character the most. And that's what luxury should be about. And this is what I lack a lot in Chanel boutiques nowadays, because you don't really have, not just Chanel boutique, any luxury boutique, most luxury boutiques, because they don't spend the time, because they want to sell quickly, turn a profit, reach, commish or whatever they have, and move on to the next client. But what they should be doing instead is understanding who you are. How is your character? What are you about? And then enhancing what you already bring to the table, bringing who you are to the table, enhancing that with the brand you wish to purchase. So if I get to know you more, then I understand your psychology, I understand your character, then I can help you find better pieces for yourself, to wear or to accessorize yourself with. And then we've lost this. You don't have that because the sales associates are under a lot of time pressure. They're not given the time to get to talk to you, to get to know you properly. And so that's how we ended with this logo mania stuff, because that's how you end up with, okay, quick, let's just sell 50 pair of double C earrings where the studs fall off the second you buy them, because it's a quick sell. The person who's wearing them wears Chanel. That's good. Okay, everybody's going to see that they're wearing Chanel. That's what it's all about, just so that they can show off that they're wearing Chanel. That's not how Coco thought at all. At all. For her, it was about understanding, okay, who are you? And then we enhance your character with my clothes. That's how it should be. Because you should not be a walking brand advertisement for the brand. The brand should be working in your favor. You're paying the brand money so that the brand dresses you up to enhance who you already are. That's what you should be giving money for. Instead, the tables have turned, and we're living in a totally sick society where you're paying money not for the brand to enhance your character. You're paying money to be allowed to advertise for the brand. You're paying the brand to advertise for it by wearing Supreme or, huge logos everywhere. It's sick. If you think about it, it's really we all fall for that. And it's hard to snap out of it. It's hard to wake up and smell the coffee and change that. And within Chanel, I struggle a lot. I mean, I've really, I prefer the stuff that does not have those huge logos. But I mean, it's impossible because they have this regulation within prêt-à-porter, not haute couture. But haute couture, I mean, not everybody has $100,000 to buy one dress. So in prêt-à-porter, the closest I could get to like lack of logos is the Goussans collaboration, because even here they had to. There on the top of right here, you have a double C logo. It's like so gold, it's hard to see, but it's it's hammered in there. It's not like standing on its own alone, and everything else, it's like it's in, and it's so gold and you don't see it. But there are pieces. This is a scarab fundamentally. In the 60s, Coco would not have had that logo. But let's do top bottom camera for this. Maybe it's going to help us. There. Back in the 60s, she would not have placed this. This had to be placed there because that's the regulation. There's no avoiding it. You have to have a logo on everything that's prêt-à-porter. That's the rule. And so in this case, fine. It's not as big and chunky, but there are some costume jewelry pieces that are literally a double C. That's what it's all about. And within the clothes, thank goodness, and this is something I say Virginie is not doing a bad job at all. It's a good job. I mean, she has to do the logo pieces too, but then she also finds ways to incorporate within the Pret-a-Porter range some clothes where the double C's are hidden. They have to be shown because still every button, that's the law of Chanel today. Every button has to have the logo. Every garment has to have the logo somewhere. So, but anyway, Chanel is not the worst brand. There are much worse brands that really go for the logo mania everywhere. And within the boutiques, it's also something that has become predominantly the style of the boutiques nowadays is about entering that realm. You enter a logo, basically. And then within that logo, you're bombarded with how important that logo is to the brand. So you kind of get brainwashed into thinking you need that logo for yourself too. Now, granted, Chanel with a double C has the best logo ever designed, in my opinion, on this planet. But still, like, you don't have to really push it too much over the top on everything, you know? Anyway, so the boutiques now are going in that direction. We can switch to the top camera again. They're going in that direction, and they're much lighter than they used to be. The darkness and the mystery of the past boutiques is something I would personally prefer to see come back, because I think our society is ready for more mystery. Our society is ready to be stimulated in different ways and not to be handed everything on a silver platter. But that's maybe just my wishful thinking. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed my kind of analysis of how Chanel boutiques used to be or are today, and what my thoughts are on that. If you did like this video, thumb it up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Super Dacob all spelled together. Also on Patreon. I would like to thank my patrons for the occasion. And until next time, never forget to never give up on love. Oh, and by the way, follow me on Instagram, on my Chanel Instagram profiles. One is Coco Chanel is in my house, where I talk about Chanel the brand. And then the other one is called Coco Chanel Privé, all spelled together, where I talk about Chanel the person, woman. Everything related to her life while she was alive. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, never give up on love. Bye.